Here's a system of equations. We're asked to graph the system and then write its solution. There could also be no solution or infinitely many solutions. So the first thing to understand is how to graph an equation. So let's use this example. Let's say I have an equation of y equals 2x plus 3. The two numbers we're going to be able to use to graph the equation are the 2 and the 3. And let me explain what those numbers mean. So the 2, because it is the coefficient of x, is the slope of the equation. It's often written in algebraic formulas as m, that variable. The 3, because it is on the x side of the equation and it is the constant, this is called the y-intercept. That means we see the line cross through the y-axis at the value of 3. So let me explain on the graph. Okay, so let's start with the y-intercept, 3. It's where the graph or where the line crosses on the coordinate plane. And so what we would have to understand is that at this point on the y-axis of 3, the graph will cross through that point on the y-axis. Alright, so that's our first step. Essentially what we do is we plot that value of 3 on the y-axis. Then what we're going to do is use the slope of 2 to plot other points of the graph of the line. And so let's see what that looks like. So what we do is we use that slope 2, which means the same as 2 over 1, which means go up 2 and over 1. And then where we land is where we plot the other point. So we go 1, 2, right there, and then, so that's up 2, and then over 1, right here. And so that's where we land at that point, and so we can graph that point. So 1, 2, 1, right here. Okay? And again, we can go up 2, over 1, and then graph that point. So we can see our line forming, and then we can graph that line. And that's how we graph equations. And so let's go back to our original problem. We have these two equations here. We have y equals negative x minus 4, and we have y equals x plus 6. So what does that look like in terms of slope and y-intercept? Well, for this problem, whenever we don't see a value in front of x, it's understood that it's 1. So for this one, the slope is negative 1. The y-intercept is going to be negative 4. I got that from right here. For the bottom equation, we see that the slope is going to be 1, and the y-intercept is going to be 6. So let's go ahead and plot these. So we start again with the y-intercept. So negative 4 is right here. And then we use the slope to graph other points. Now this one is a negative slope. That's negative 1. So that's the same as negative 1 over 1, which means down 1 and over 1. So down 1 and then over 1, we land here. Down 1 over 1. And we can pretty much see what our line is going to look like. So there's the graph. So that's the first equation. Now let's do the second one. This time the intercept is at 6. And we have a slope of 1, so that's going to be the same as 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So looks like I might need to extend that other line to see the intercept or where they cross. So let's do that. There we go. So it looks like we do have a solution for this system. They cross at this point here. which appears to be -5, and then up 1, which is 1. So I see a solution of -5 and 1. And so that's what I'm going to plug in. It would be -5. 1 is the solution for this system.